Please go to finneganswakeNotes.net for a full explanation of the text, and please don't forget to hit the like button.
Welcome to episode 21 of the Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions podcast, where we analyze Finnegans Wake by James Joyce 3 pages at a time. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Today we're embarking on, well, a truly unique deep dive. Our mission today is to grapple with pages 69 through 72 of James Joyce's monumental and, let's be honest, famously challenging Finnegans Wake. For those of you who've ventured into Joyce before, you know his work isn't just a book, it's more like an experience. And Finnegans Wake, that's basically an entire universe unto itself. Our sources for this deep dive are as layered and rich as the text itself. Think of a tapestry of literary analysis, linguistic glosses, historical context.
Yeah, it really reflects the intricate weaving Joyce achieved in, well, practically every single line.
Exactly. Our goal is to really dig into these specific pages, to find those surprising connections, that brilliant wordplay, and the profound, often funny meanings that make this book such a compelling puzzle. Think of it as maybe your shortcut to getting a handle on a text many consider pretty unapproachable. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's truly fascinating here, and I think what we'll see throughout these pages, is how Joyce takes these seemingly simple narrative threads and constructs them into this incredibly complex web. It's all about cultural and personal memory. This particular section, pages 69 to 72, primarily deals with a revisit to that enigmatic figure, H.C.E. Humphrey Chimpden Earwicker, and we get a really detailed, multi-layered account of two specific, let's call them assaults or confrontations he experiences.
Right, assaults.
And as we guide you through this, you'll encounter just a remarkable blend of, well, everything. Irish mythology, European history, some really personal-sounding insults, and some truly breathtaking linguistic acrobatics. I mean, it's just...
It really is something.
It's a testament to Joyce's genius, really, that he can pack so much profound human experience into so few pages.
I agree. That sense of revisiting, of re-engagement, it's palpable right from the start. That opening line, Joyce signals we're not just picking up where we left off, but we're diving deep into the act of remembering itself. The text begins. Now, by memory inspired, turn wheel again to the whole of the wall. Now that immediately struck me as having a double meaning. The entire wall, obviously, but also playfully hinting at a hole in the wall.
Right.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just any hole.
No.
It's a specific allusion to the Hole in the Wall pub, Nancy Hand's, right there in Phoenix Park, Dublin.
That famous one, yeah.
Exactly. And this pub is situated right beside a turnstile, which itself gives access into the park through a literal hole in the massive Phoenix Park wall.
So right away.
Right away. Joyce is playing with ideas of access and enclosure, what's inside, what's outside. And that turn wheel again, it cleverly echoes the turnstile itself.
Oh, the physical turning.
But there's a deeper layer too, isn't there? A more poignant one. The idea of turning one's face to the wall. That's a classic gesture of resignation, right? Of giving up, maybe even facing death.
Yes, a sense of finality.
So how does that contrast with turning the wheel of memory or narrative?
Well, it creates this powerful tension, absolutely. Turning to the wall suggests like you said, finality. But turning the wheel implies something continuous, cyclical. A re-engagement with past events, even the difficult ones. Defeat, shame.
Okay, so it's that tension.
Exactly. It's core to the wake, and Joyce keeps building this intricate tapestry. Look at the next bit, where a giant Blyant fronts Pian Luamore.
Right. What's going on there?
We're talking about a big lead pencil. Giant Blyant uses the Danish Blyant for pencil.
Danish. Okay.
And Pian Luamore comes from the Irish Pian Luaitamore, which also means big pencil.
Ah, so doubling down.
Precisely. And it echoes an earlier motif, the overgrown lead pencil from page 56. The sources suggest possible real-world allusions here, like maybe the O'Connell Monument or the Wellington Monument in Phoenix Park.
Which are huge, like giant pencils, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. But the fascinating part is you can't actually see both of them simultaneously from Chapelizod, which is the main setting here.
So Joyce isn't worried about literal geography.
Not at all. It highlights his notorious disregard for strict realism. He prefers this layered, symbolic landscape that exists more, in the mind than on a map.
Okay, that makes sense. And then he gives us that distorted fairy tale opening.
Yes. Once upon a wall and a hoo-hoo wall was. It definitely calls back to the opening of Portrait of the Artist as a young man. But it also brings in the Dutch word hoog, meaning high. So it suggests this towering, almost mythical wall.
Wow.
And then air or ire in Ireland. It vividly conjures up this Primeval mythical Ireland, a time before metal or anger came to the land. Ireland being Ireland.
So he's building this ancient landscape just with words.
Exactly. And what this truly reveals is Joyce's kaleidoscopic layering of mythology. HCE isn't just one lost hero. He's like a composite of all lost heroes, always shrouded in shame and veiled history.
That comes through in Lost Paladins.
It's got multiple meanings. Could be Charlemagne's 12 paladins from the Song of Roland, lost in battle.
Right.
Or it could be the Greek Pleiades, the seven sisters, with the lost Pleiad, Merope, hiding her light out of shame.
So HCE embodies that lost glory, that shame.
Precisely. And Joyce keeps blending things. Norse mythology, like the Eddas, with Christian tradition Adam and Eve, the Latin Ave for hail through Edams ended with Aves.
The density is just incredible. He conceptually builds this ancient world using language itself. And then he introduces Armen, and the down is theirs and still to see for Menags. What's packed into those?
Okay, Armen is a really dense linguistic knot. It carries so many layers.
Like what?
Well, obviously Armen, but also German Armen, meaning poor people, and even Armenia.
Armenia. Interesting.
Yeah, hinting at this universal human condition, pulling in diverse linguistic influences. And it's immediately followed by the down is theirs and still to see for Megs, which brings in the Armenian word down for house and Menag for solitary.
So house and solitary.
Right. So what Joyce does here is evoke the enduring presence of past events, but also the solitary nature of observation. It's like a snapshot, but loaded with ancient history, linguistic play. And it shows HCE as this solitary figure, almost like a keeper of these fragmented historical memories.
Beyond those fascinating allusions to memory and shame, Joyce just doesn't let up, does he? He continues to play with these grand themes. For instance, with if he strikes a luciforich, and we'll come to those bare gaze shoe shines if you just shoot off a second. Luciforich, that sounds incredibly specific, but also layered. What's going on there?
It absolutely is. Luciforich is a wonderful example of Joyce's portmanteau words, mashing things together. On one hand, it evokes luciferich, which is the title given to St. Gregory, the illuminator of Armenia. So it suggests a kind of spiritual or historical illumination.
Okay, the sacred.
But then it also sounds distinctly like lice-itch.
Right? Well, that's sacred.
And maybe even a Lucifer match, implying something mundane, almost sordid, being ignited.
That contrast again, the sacred and the profane.
Quintessential Joyce. Then these bare-gazed shoe shines. They're intriguing. The sources point back to Ulysses, actually. A concern, especially in Ithaca and Penelope, about a bootblack looking at Molly Bloom's skirts.
The voyeuristic element.
Exactly. And historically, shoe shines in America were often black individuals, so that introduces potential racial undertones alongside the voyeurism.
Oh, and the speed of it all.
Yeah, shoot off a second.
Yes. Shoot off is Armenian for hastily or quickly.
Armenian again.
But it also sounds like shut up phonetically. So what does it all mean? In a single fleeting snapshot, Joyce captures ancient history, personal anxieties, social dynamics, and this whole range of linguistic play. It's incredibly dense.
It's almost overwhelming density, but so carefully crafted, and he layers on more. And let Oggs be good old gaggles, and Ister Estar play Yester Aster. Seems like another play on cyclical time and identity.
Precisely. Istar clearly references Ishtar, the Babylonian fertility goddess, and also the planet Venus.
Right, Ishtar. While Yester Aster brings in Easter and the Latin Aster for star, it suggests cyclical time, the eternal return of goddesses, natural rhythms, and this blurring of identity. Almost like an actress playing herself, It's about the fluidity of identity across history.
And that theme of vulnerability, it seems to layer on to societal concerns next, with source dosteria's disease.
Yes, exactly. This plays on Saarstadt Aryan, the Irish Free State.
Okay, the official name.
But it also evokes the British term distressed areas, which referred to slums, areas particularly susceptible to disease.
A social commentary.
It's a poignant link, isn't it, between national identity, socioeconomic conditions, and vulnerability, suggesting that even a nation's identity can be perceived or presented as diseased.
That sense of vulnerability and maybe confinement becomes even more central when the narrative introduces a stone-hinged gate.
Yeah.
That sounds like a powerful symbol.
It does, and it immediately grounds this, local Dublin gate in monumental history by alluding to Stonehenge, gives it an ancient, almost sacred weight.
So connecting the everyday gate to something immense.
Right. And we learn that a seroptimist, which is a blend of Seroptimists, the women's organization, and just, an optimist, had bought and enlarged a shack behind this gate.
Okay.
And the terms of the rental are quite peculiar. Listen to this. 1 yearling sheep, prime, value of 6 pence, and 1 small yearling goat, cadet value of 8 pence.
6 pence and 8 pence for a year.
Seems so. It gives us this concrete, almost humorous detail. A yearly rent of 14 pence paid in livestock, and it plays on hog it and kid him, young sheep and goat, but also maybe hug and kiss.
Adds a human, almost folksy touch.
It does, amidst all the abstraction. But the purpose of the gate is key. The stated purpose was for HCE to put an applegate on the place to keep out donkeys. Sounds innocent enough.
Yeah, keep the animals out.
But the text immediately subverts this. The iron gate, which apparently by old custom was left open to prevent the cats from getting at the gout.
Prevent cats getting gout.
Right. But this gate was, in fact, triple padlocked on him on purpose by his faithful porters to keep him inside, probably.
Locked on him to keep him in.
Exactly. And possibly in Aunter, he felt like sticking out his chest too far and tempting gracious providence.
So it's not about keeping others out, but keeping him in for his own good, supposedly.
That's the implication. Lest he stuck out his chest too far, maybe tempted fate, got into trouble again. It connects perhaps to a prior incident mentioned about a commercial who missed money.
Setting the stage for more threats.
Right. And this enforced enclosure is such a stark contrast to that old custom mentioned about leaving doors open at Howth Castle. It implies this profound shift from openness and welcome to
We're being locked up.
an almost suffocating pre-burial confinement. It's like a living death, a forced introspection.
Wow.
Even the phrase, unused as he was yet to being freely clotted, has this dark, ambiguous humor. Does it mean freely clothed, cuddled, or maybe even buried in clods of earth?
That's grimly funny. A living death, forced introspection. It's a fascinating take on his confinement. Now, the narrative shifts, and we get the second major assault on HCE. The text signals it playfully, almost casually. Oh, by the by, let's we brag of praties. It ought to be always remembered.
Yeah, a nod to the Irish folk song, The Wee Bag of Praties.
And then we meet the new assailant. A North roomer, Herr Betreffender, out for his Zimmerhole digs. Herr Betreffender was the significance there, and Zimmerhole digs.
Herr Betreffender is pure Joyce. It's German, meaning Mr. Concerned, or maybe the person in question. It instantly makes him both everyman and nobody, a nameless aggressor representing universal judgment, maybe.
Okay, very generic but pointed.
And Zimmer is just German for room. Holdigs plays on digs as slang for lodgings, often dingy ones, and it might even allude to Heinrich Zimmer, a 19th century Celticist whose work Joyce read.
Ah, another layer. And this character is digging in number 32 at the Rum and Puncheon.
Right. And later we see a reference to 11 as payment. Now this isn't just arbitrary detail. It introduces the recurrent 1132 motif that threads its way through various parts of the wake. It ties diverse elements together, signals significant transitions or repetitions.
Like a hidden code.
Kind of, yeah. A subtle numerical pattern for the really keen-eyed reader.
Okay, and this commercial from Ostrich, he sounds like another richly layered character. What's the scene he's creating?
Well, he's staying at the Rum and Puncheon, which is described as a branch of Dirty Dick's free house in Leixlip.
Leixlip.
Exactly. Leixlip, the village west of Dublin whose name means salmon leap. So you get this mix of local Irish geography with London pub lore.
Okay.
And the visitor is a commercial traveler, maybe a counselor of commerce from Ostrich.
Austria, presumably.
Clearly Austria, yes. But Joyce plays with it. Ostrich, maybe someone with their head in the sand, and rich, suggesting wealth. He's described as reeking like Zentral oil rubber, which suggests reeking like a rubber factory maybe, and also links to Europa.
Okay, quite an image. And he's from the USE.
Yes, the USE, a fascinating early concept maybe for a United States of Europe, but possibly combined with the USA. And he was paying Gaul save the mark, 11 in the week.
Gaul save the mark. What's that?
It's an exclamation, sort of impatience or contempt. In holy romads, layers, holy Romans, roaming nomads, and maybe even holy rollers. The implication is an extravagant payment, typical perhaps of rich Americans, for this conscience money, 11 shillings a week.
Conscience money.
But here's where Joyce introduces that crucial ambiguity we need to be careful with.
Okay.
While the text here states 11 shillings as conscience money, an earlier draft version apparently suggested this figure was actually £6.15. And it was for disturbed overkite or maybe missing money from a previous commercial character.
Ah, so the details shift, the facts aren't solid.
Exactly. It's quintessential Joyce. Creates this constantly shifting, unreliable narrative. The facts themselves are fluid, contested. It echoes the elusive nature of truth within the wake itself.
That ambiguity really does keep you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
And our visitor's activity, described as swishing bees nest with pleasure and swabbing brogen Irish myth Brockenduch, making his reporterage on der Fall Adams for the Frankfurter sighting, a fastland periodicule. That's a linguistic marvel in itself.
It really is.
This intricate wordplay clearly isn't just for show. How would you say Joyce weaponizes language in these passages? Using it not just to describe, but to actively shape or distort events.
Oh, he absolutely weaponizes language here. It becomes a performative act of aggression and distortion. Take swishing bees nest with pleasure. It beautifully combines mixing business with pleasure with the idiom stirring up a hornet's nest.
Right, causing trouble.
And bees nest also carries that 1920s American slang bee's knees, meaning something excellent. But then the French blusher, meaning a wound, adds this darker, violent edge.
Mixing pleasure and wounding.
Exactly. Then, swabbing brogan Irish myth Brockenduch, phenomenal phrase. It suggests he's swapping broken Irish with broken German. It brings in Schwaben, an ancient German district, and references the broken lights of Irish myth from Joyce's portrait.
Okay.
Brockenduch evokes the Brocken mountain in Germany, famous for its specter, but also German Brocken, meaning fragment. And it might even point to Heinrich von Kleist's allegorical play, Der Zerbrochen Krug, The Broken Jug, which is about the fall of Adam.
The fall of Adam again.
Which leads right into him making his reporterage on Der Fall Adams, the case of Adam in German,
Right.
linking to the fall for the Frankfurter sighting, a fastland periodical.
Which is the Frankfurter Zeitung.
Playfully distorted, yes. A German periodical, described as a continental periodical, fastland being Danish for mainland. But periodical suggests it's ridiculous, maybe needs paying off.
So the language itself is used to wound, distort, mock.
Absolutely. It's not just description. It's an act of aggression through language.
It's incredible how every phrase is just loaded.
Yeah.
The visitor's tissue of threats and abuses then escalates dramatically. What are some of the most striking threats he levels against HCE?
Oh, he just bleats through the gale outside, this relentless torrent of verbal violence, and often steeped in American culture, interestingly.
American, how so?
Well, he threatens to break his Bolshewigger's head. That combines hirsute Harry with bushy wig and Bolshevik, suggests a wild, unruly, politically charged figure.
Okay.
Then he threatens to break the gauge over his lanky duckling head. Lanky duckling fuses ugly duckling with Yankee doodling, adds an American, almost childish element to the threat.
Kinky doodling for you.
And in this grotesque twist on blood is thicker than water, he threatens to give him his thicker than water to drink. Hints at forced consumption of blood, connects to figures like Attila the Hun, maybe Brian Bohr's assassin, Brodar. He even demands more wood alcohol to pitch in with, referencing American prohibition and the blindness it caused. Further emphasizes the toxic, Americanized nature of this assault.
So lots of American references mixed in.
Definitely. The context is thick with them. Burgley's Klan march from the Middle West. That could reference Klan marches protesting European immigrants. There are allusions to Quaker oats, adds food shot from guns and hog collaring, that loud American Midwest practice. Even luncheonette is an Americanism.
It's relentless.
Utterly. This continuous chaotic abuse lasts for hours, apparently from 11:30 to 2 in the afternoon without even a luncheonette interval. For House, son of Claude, to come out, you Jew beggar, to be executed, amen.
Wow. That mixes HCE with Jesus, Jupiter, Joe Bigger, and executed amen.
It links to an ancient Jewish judicial custom, emphasizing the public, ritualistic nature of HCE's defamation. It's a truly relentless, culturally resonant torrent of abuse.
The sheer volume and intensity of that verbal assault is just staggering. So how does ACE react? Our protagonist through all this. Joyce tells us that Earwicker, that pattern mind, that paradigmatic ear, receptor attentive as his of Dionysius, long-suffering, although whitening under restraint. The key there, receptor attentive as his of Dionysius, is quite evocative. Can you explain the significance of the ear of Dionysius and what it reveals about HCE's response?
The ear of Dionysius is a brilliant metaphor for HCE. It refers to this artificial cave in Syracuse, Sicily, renowned for its perfect acoustics.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Legend has it that Dionysius, the ancient Greek king, used it as a prison. He could supposedly eavesdrop on his prisoners' secrets, or maybe the acoustics amplified their tortured screams.
Chilling. So HCC is like that ear.
Exactly. He is this vast, paradigmatic ear, a pattern mind that absorbs and retains everything. Every single input, every insult, whisper, piece of history, language hurled at him, he takes it all in.
But passively.
Passively. He is long-suffering and whitening under restraint. It clearly takes a toll. But he doesn't retaliate directly. His setting emphasizes this, too. He's in this sitted-out corner of his conservatory behind famine-built walls.
Famine-built walls.
All right.
Another historical layer.
A poignant one, yeah, referencing Irish famine relief works. And he even mourns the flight of his wild guineas.
Which is...
Well, it's layered. The flight of the wild geese, those Irish Jacobite soldiers who left Ireland. But also Guinness beer, maybe, and guinea coins.
weaving history into his personal suffering again.
Constantly. So HCE emerges not as an active participant in the conflict, but as this vast living repository of history and language, a kind of collective memory, absorbing all external assaults without direct retaliation.
He's the canvas.
Exactly. The canvas upon which history, insult, linguistic invention are painted, a deep well of human experience. And this understanding of HCE as a living archive, like a prehistoric mound, as Joseph Campbell put it, where collective memory is unearthed.
Drawn out of the subsoil of the soul.
Yes. It leads us right to perhaps the most vivid manifestation of this idea in these pages, the endless evolving record of his own defamation. Because if HCE is memory, then what is remembered of him? Often it's not kindness, it's this astonishingly rich, long list, now feared, in part lost, to be kept on file of all abusive names he was called.
That's a powerful way to frame it. This long list is truly a central motif here, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just insults, it's like a public record of HCE's identity, but constructed entirely by others. What's so fascinating, as you said, is how Joyce uses this deluge of insults, not just to describe HCE, but to construct this mosaic of Irish history, language, cultural anxieties.
Absolutely. The form itself is key. The sheer number of insults, their multilingual density, their thematic breadth, it reflects that universal experience of defamation and the subjective, often contradictory construction of reputation. It's this overwhelming assault on identity where every external perception adds to HCE's fragmented public image.
So let's look at a few examples. How about under identity and reputation? What stands out?
Well, he's called First Nighter, which implies a deflowerer of virgins, a serious charge.
Right.
He's an informer, a deeply, deeply negative term in Irish history.
Huge loaded.
He's also called Yellow Wigger, combining yellow for cowardly, wig for the political faction, and maybe even Earwig, his own namesake. Beyond these, there are attacks on his social standing. 12 months aristocrat. That was an insult for Dublin's Lord Mayor, whose position was only for a year. Temporary.
So not a real aristocrat?
Exactly. Or artist, which in Anglo-Irish slang meant a rogue, a trickster.
So untrustworthy, low status, maybe sexually transgressive. It's all thrown at him.
All of it. And then under physical appearance and derision, the insults get really crude and pointed.
Like it.
Wheat ears sounds like a bird, but originally meant White-Arse, or York's porker, connecting to Richard III's boar crest, but also slang for a Jew.
Okay, multiple offensive layers there.
And Moonface the Murderer, which is a direct reference to a Jack London story. Beyond these, he's just bombarded with names mocking his health, like Sickfish Bellyup, or blending animal imagery with references to public figures like Milking Honey Beaver Brooker.
It reduces him to a caricature.
Completely. Physical ailment, public perception. It's all fodder. The sheer vulgarity and diversity of the taunts are designed to be utterly dehumanizing.
The layers are just astounding, especially how physical description morphs into character assassination. Now, what about the historical, literary, and mythological allusions? These seem incredibly dense.
Oh, Joyce truly uses this list like an historical archive of abuse. He's called Cain de Blur. Cain and Abel instantly evoking primal sin, betrayal.
Right back to Genesis.
Then remove that Bible, which is this brilliant Joycean twist on Oliver Cromwell's famous command to remove the bauble, the ceremonial mace, from Parliament. It links HCE to Cromwell's authoritarianism.
Wow, that's clever.
Another fascinating one. You're welcome to Waterfood, signed the Ribbon Men. That recalls Henry II landing at Waterford, welcomed by some, but adds signed the Ribbon Men.
The 19th century secret society.
Yes, a
Right.
Catholic group. So it hests at these deep historical grievances, factionalism, resistance.
Okay.
And beyond those, the list invokes, everything. Ancient tyrants like Tumor the Lame, Tamerlane, literary jokes like Loose Luther, Martin Luther and his supposed constipation, specific Irish historical events like the Battle of Clontarf, Thunder and Turf married into Clandorf, British political scandals like the Duke of Argyll and the Glencoe massacre. God bless the good Duke of Argyll.
It's like he embodies the scapegoat for centuries of
Right.
stuff.
Exactly. Collective anxieties, historical traumas, it all lands on HCE. He becomes both deeply specific to Irish history and universally representative of anyone subjected to public defamation. And again, the sheer form of these insults, their number, their density, underscores how defamation works. It just endlessly transforms and multiplies, reflecting this universal experience and the subjective, contradictory way public identity gets built.
It's an exhausting list, and I imagine it's designed to feel that way. And through it all, HCE maintains that steadfast passive resistance. The text says he did not respond a solitary wedge word beyond such sedentarity. Wedge word, like to a form. And sedentarity is just sitting there.
Precisely. A wedge word could be a single word, or it could evoke ancient cuneiform script writing pressed into clay. And sedentarity is his sitting, unmoving posture. His non-response is almost an act of defiance in itself.
And the reason given for his silence is, well, complex and quite telling.
It is. The Dominican mission for the Socialist Party was on at the time, and he thought the Romish devotion known as the Holy Rosary might reaffirm him.
There's such irony there. Blending intense religious fervor with socialist politics.
Classic Joyce. Dominican mission refers to those religious services meant to stimulate piety. Socialist Party is this playful corruption of Socialist Party, bringing political anxieties right in.
Okay.
And Romish devotion, known as the Holy Rosary, explicitly points to Romish devotion, which was often a derogatory term for Roman Catholic practices, specifically the Holy Rosary.
And HCE isn't Catholic, right? Church of England background.
Exactly. So the idea that he thinks this Catholic devotion might reform his assailant is deeply ironic. It highlights the complex mix of religious and political tensions in early 20th century Ireland.
So he doesn't engage directly, just tries this passive spiritual influence.
Seems so. A very passive form of resistance. He just sits there, hoping the rosary might sort the other guy out.
And the unpleasant visitor, how does he end it?
Well, he eventually concludes his assault, and finally, before he rang off, pegged a few stones, all of a size, before leaving.
Pegged a few stones, threw stones.
Seems like it. And all of a size. This image connects back to some early draft versions where stones were thrown and then put aside. It's a symbolic act of violence, a final parting shot. And as one source notes, it might relate to the proverb, people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. HCE is certainly in a fragile state.
Right.
This act, combined with those earlier hints about the commercial who missed money, it suggests the cyclical nature of these conflicts. HCE's suffering seems enduring, both personal and emblematic of this broader cultural memory.
An ambiguous ending to the assault, leaving HCE just sitting there.
Still in his passive, receptive state, absorbing it all.
What an incredible journey through just these few pages. We've really seen how Joyce takes this, well, seemingly simple narrative of an assault and just infuses it with countless layers. History, mythology, linguistic play, profound psychological depth. HCE isn't just a character. He really emerges as this universal figure, doesn't he? Embodying collective memory, patiently enduring, internally cataloging these relentless external attacks through his passive observation, his almost superhuman receptivity. We've seen how these pages are not just a story, but like a dense archive of human experience, identity, and the transformative power of language itself.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? And it raises an important question, I think, for all of us listening. In a world that's just inundated with information, with diverse voices, opinions flying everywhere, how do we compile our own lists of what truly matters? And maybe more importantly, how do we resist being defined solely by the names others call us or the narratives they try to impose on us?
That's a great point.
HCE's steadfast, albeit passive, resistance encourages us to reflect on the nature of identity, how it's constructed both internally and through all that external perception, and maybe the resilience individuals need in the face of relentless external pressures. How do we process and record our own experiences? And finally, it just compels us to consider the sheer transformative power of language, how it can be both this devastating weapon of abuse, and yet, in the hands of a master like Joyce, a profound tool for meaning-making, creating this intricate tapestry of words that really forces you to look beyond the surface